On 9/11, we come together as a group to recognize and honor those who sacrificed to preserve the ideals of this country, the freedoms of this country. And instead, we find ourselves today hunting a murderer who chose to violate our rights, the rights of an individual within this country. Charlie Kirk was shot and killed while speaking at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. The attack occurred in broad daylight before a crowd of around 3,000 attendees. Just 31 years old and a father of two, he was a prominent voice among young conservatives and a staunch defender of free speech and gun rights. He was on the first stop of a campus tour, answering a student's question about gun violence and transgender issues, when a single rifle shot rang out, striking him in the neck. His security detail rushed him into an SUV and to a local hospital, but tragically, he succumbed to his wounds shortly after. Witnesses describe a moment of stunned silence before panic set in. Video from the scene shows Kirk flinching and collapsing as blood spurted from a neck wound. Attendees and students in the outdoor amphitheater ducked down or stampeded for exits, fearing an active shooter situation. Only one shot was fired. There was no follow-up volley, which initially left people confused. Many didn't even know what had happened until they saw Kirk on the ground. Within minutes, campus police and Kirk's private security team had secured the area and evacuated Kirk. An ambulance wasn't waiting, perhaps due to the unexpected nature of the attack from afar, so Kirk's team lifted him into a vehicle to rush him to emergency care. Despite these efforts, doctors couldn't save him. The single bullet had done mortal damage, and Kirk was pronounced dead at the hospital. He leaves behind his wife, Erica, and their two young children. Within hours of the shooting, a massive multi-agency investigation was underway. Federal, state, and local law enforcement mobilized, determined to find the perpetrator and bring justice. Commissioner Bo Mason of the Utah Department of Public Safety and Special Agent in Charge Robert Bowles of the FBI's Salt Lake City field office led a press briefing the next morning, September 11th. They described a round-the-clock effort involving the FBI, ATF, Utah State Bureau of Investigation, local police from Orem, and campus police. Dozens of investigators worked through the night, combing the crime scene and following leads. Mason thanked the astounding outpouring of support and resources from law enforcement partners, emphasizing that every officer is invested in this. We are exhausting every lead to track down the killer. Using surveillance videos and eyewitness accounts, investigators reconstructed the shooter's movements in meticulous detail. The suspect's plan was calculated and chillingly efficient. Footage shows an unknown individual arriving near campus at 11:52 a.m., blending into the stream of students arriving for the event. This person was able to walk onto campus without arousing suspicion, as Commissioner Mason put it. The suspect blended in well with a college institution, appearing to be just another college-age student. Authorities believe the assassin carried his weapon in a concealed manner, possibly broken down or hidden in something like a long case or wrapped package, to avoid detection, since security at the venue was focused on immediate threats near the stage, not a sniper attack from afar. The suspect made his way into a nearby building known as the Lossy Center at UVU and accessed the upper levels. Surveillance video and campus security reports traced the individual climbing stairwells to the roof of the building. This rooftop was not part of the venue, but it provided a clear line of sight to the plaza where Kirk was speaking, approximately 200 yards away. The murder weapon recovered. A major break in the case came when law enforcement recovered the weapon believed to be used in the assassination. ATF agents and other officers discovered a rifle discarded in a wooded area not far from campus, along the likely route the suspect took while fleeing. It appears the killer had stashed or dropped the firearm, perhaps to blend in and escape more easily without carrying a conspicuous rifle. The gun was reportedly wrapped in a cloth or towel and hidden among brush, indicating the shooter attempted to hide evidence during the escape. At the press briefing, Agent Bowles confirmed, "We have recovered what we believe is the weapon that was used in yesterday's shooting, a high-powered bolt-action rifle. That rifle was recovered in a wooded area where the shooter had fled. The FBI laboratory will be analyzing this weapon." While officials didn't immediately release specifics like the make or model, a leaked law enforcement bulletin later revealed more details. According to that report, first obtained by journalist Stephen Crowder and later echoed by the Wall Street Journal and others, the rifle is an older model imported Mauser, chambered in .30-06 Springfield. In other words, the assassin didn't use a modern sniper rifle or an AR-15 style weapon, rather a classic bolt-action rifle design originating from over a century ago. Mauser brand rifles, originally German, were prolific in the early 20th century. Many military surplus Mausers have been imported to the U.S. over the years, often rechambered to common calibers like 30-06. These rifles are known for their reliability and accuracy, and in skilled hands, even an old bolt action can be deadly at long range. Investigators haven't said whether the rifle was equipped with a telescopic scope, but given the around 200 yards distance of the shot, it's likely the shooter used some form of optic or was extraordinarily proficient with iron sights. Perhaps most disturbing was what investigators found inside the rifle. The bolt was still closed, with the spent shell casing from the fatal shot still in the chamber. This means the shooter did not even cycle the bolt to eject the casing and chamber a fresh round, likely because they intended to fire only once and then flee immediately. In the rifle's internal magazine were 3 unfired rounds that had been loaded but not used. All of these remaining bullets had something unusual. Each cartridge had words engraved on it, bearing messages associated with transgender rights and anti-fascist ideology. According to reports, phrases like trans rights or human rights, possibly symbols of the transgender flag colors, were etched into the ammunition. The presence of these inscriptions strongly suggests the shooter's actions were driven by extreme ideological motives. It's as if the killer wanted their message literally engraved in the bullets used to silence Charlie Kirk. This chilling detail, first reported via a leaked ATF memo, has not been officially confirmed by the FBI on record. They declined to comment on it when asked. However, multiple law enforcement sources have acknowledged the existence of ideological messages on the ammo. The FBI has sent the rifle and ammunition to its lab for DNA and fingerprint analysis. Technicians will carefully swab the weapon, scope, if any, and cartridges for any biological or fingerprint evidence. Given that the shooter likely handled these items without gloves at some point, engraving bullets, loading them, firing the rifle, there's hope that forensic evidence could provide a lead. Agents are also conducting an emergency trace of the firearm's serial number to determine its origin, where and when it was manufactured, imported, and sold. An interesting note in the leaked bulletin mentions that after forensics are done, the gun will be disassembled to look for importer markings. Often, imported surplus guns have import stamps that can identify the dealer. All of this could help identify the perpetrator if the gun can be tied to a purchase or a previous owner. However, if the rifle was acquired secondhand or via private sale, tracing it might be difficult. In addition to the firearm, authorities recovered other evidence from the crime scene and escape path. Footwear impressions, footprints were documented, which could match a suspect's shoes later. Perhaps even more intriguing, investigators lifted an impression of a palm print and forearm from a surface, possibly a rooftop ledge or the ground where the suspect landed after jumping. These imprints, if usable, could provide biometric clues or at least confirm if the suspect was injured in the jump, e.g. a forearm print might mean he braced a fall. All these clues are pieces of a puzzle that law enforcement is urgently assembling. News of Charlie Kirk's assassination has stunned the country and led to strong reactions from public figures. President Donald Trump, a close ally of Kirk's, delivered an impassioned statement calling the murder a dark moment for America. In a video address from the Oval Office, President Trump eulogized Kirk as a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate in the country he loves so much. He said Kirk inspired millions through his campus engagements, and that an assassin tried to silence him with a bullet but failed, vowing that Kirk's voice and legacy will live on for generations. The president also didn't mince words about the possible motive, directly blaming radical left rhetoric for fostering an environment of violence. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism we're seeing, Trump said, adding that it must stop right now. He pledged that his administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and bring them to justice, even referring to Kirk as a martyr for truth and freedom. Such strong language from the commander-in-chief underscores how politically charged this incident is. It's extremely rare in modern U.S. history for a political personality of Kirk's profile to be assassinated in public, and officials at all levels are treating it as an attack not just on a person, but on free expression itself. Leaders from across the political spectrum have condemned the shooting. Republican lawmakers and conservative commentators have expressed outrage and grief, many pointing to increasingly heated political rhetoric online as a dangerous fuel for violence. Utah's Governor Spencer Cox said that capital punishment would be on the table when the perpetrator is caught, given the premeditated, politically motivated nature of the crime. On the other side of the aisle, even many Democrats and left-leaning figures, some of whom vehemently opposed Kirk's views in life, have denounced the assassination as utterly unacceptable in civil society. Free speech advocates note that no matter one's politics, resorting to murder over differences in ideology is an assault on democracy. However, the toxicity of online discourse hasn't stopped with the crime. Disturbingly, in some fringe corners of the internet, a handful of extremist voices celebrated Kirk's death, with posts claiming he deserved it. Such comments, believed to be from radical left-wing extremists, have been widely rebuked once brought to light. The vast majority of Americans, regardless of political affiliation, are mourning the situation, recognizing that political violence is a line that must not be crossed. Kirk had certainly been a polemical figure and a lightning rod for controversy on campuses, but as many have noted, the answer to speech one disagrees with is more speech, not bullets.